What's up, guys? Pega Vlog time. So this is the part where we're going to do some behind the scenes stuff of what goes on at PVA, and we'll go over a couple of the videos that we've done and stuff that is to come as far as this channel. So here we go. As far as the PVA 40 mod is concerned, I have no problems being transparent about certain things. However, certain things have to be revealed at the end of stuff when everything's all said and done. Like, you know, what were the cost of things, what were what and stuff like that. I'm not going to teach you how to do business so that like you could beat me to it before I even get her done. You know what I mean? So yeah, a lot of the questions, you know, from people on ECF and whatever, they were just like ridiculous questions. You know what I mean? Like, Peg, what is your social security number? Like, come on, I'm not going to tell you these things. Like, why even bother asking such trollish stuff? So yeah. The moment I know something, I will do something about it, okay? So, this vlog is not going to be too much of the PVA 40 mod, okay? The PVA 40 mod is something that I have to prove, I have to make good on, and I have yet to ever go back on my promise, okay? So, it's coming, folks. Don't worry about that. Let's talk about something else real quick. The straight volt battery revolution thing. Okay, this is something that I'm working on, okay? It's big. It's really, really big, okay? And I'm so glad well, thank you, Mr. One Hater. Whatever, I don't care. Thank you so much that everybody is so on board with this thing, because, you know, I worked hard on it and it really makes sense. It really, really makes sense, as it is what it is. Okay, I'm going to talk about the market real quick. All right, all battery companies are focused on on one thing and one thing only, because people are asking the wrong questions, and battery companies and stuff, they just want to go ahead and answer that question and then be done, because they understand that, like, if they focus on that, that's how they make your money. Okay, I said last time that we're 99% done as far as tweaking the chart over here, and it needs to be tweaked one more time, because ABCD is wrong. It's ABCDE that is correct. There needs to be one more category. Everything on the C and the D over here needs to slide down one. Okay, so your battery type A is your big battery that has the high density. Your type B is the next one after that. The type C battery would actually be your Samsung 25R, LG HE2s, HE4s, Purple EFES, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, that would fit into more of the 2500 mAh at 20 amps. And then your type D is going to be something else. And then type E is definitely your 30 amp continuous super high drain, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? That's what it's going to be. It needs one more space. Now, initially I was a little bit hesitant to do this, because what does Peg really think the best type C battery out there is, as far as the 2500 mAh series with the 20 amp continuous? Basically the LG HE4. The LG HE4 handles heat the best out of all, because at the end of the day, the Samsung 25R, the Imrins, blah, 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 whatever, they're all 2500 mAh 20 amp spec-ish, okay, batteries, all right? But the LG HE4 on the graphs has proven to handle the heat best, all right? Yeah, and what happens is that, like, once I get this down, once I get the chart fully done, right, I will reveal exactly what all 5 batteries are going to be. I've already just revealed to you what the middle battery is, okay? The problem is this, and how did we get here? How did we get to this freaking problem to begin with? Is because everybody asked the same stupid question, okay? And you can't blame the people, okay? You can't blame the people, okay? Because the train of thought is legit, which is, what's the best battery? 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 You've all done it. You've all done it. Even I have done it. We constantly, you know, look this up. We specifically type the words, what is the best 18650 battery out there? We constantly look at things this way, and we have been asking the wrong questions the whole time. Because at no time have we ever stopped to, like, really pause and just be like, wait a second, there's a lot of different applications out there. How could there just be like one magical battery that fits everything? That makes no sense. There's a reason why there's, like, triple A's and double A's and CD and 9-volt batteries and this, you know, different things for different applications. as they need it? Why is it that, like, you know, it's not like, you know, 1,000 like AA batteries like all duct tape and, you know, together, and instead of like a big ass car battery that's sitting there? Why is this what it is and not that, right? Because they have to be made differently for different kinds of applications, etc. So even car batteries in general itself, right? I mean, there's a bunch of dry cells that are out there. There are things that are more rated for marine setups. You know, there's a lot of different kind of specs out there for different things, right? Like if you guys are into cars, you'll see, like, you know, how many amps, how many cold crank amps, how many this and that, and that doesn't apply to like the lithium ion batteries. But my point is that, like, you know, different things require different things. But that's not what we were doing. For some strange reason, we just kept on saying, "What's the best battery? What's the best battery? What's the best battery?" And that wasn't right. And when you really think about it, if you had to go ahead and embellish on a certain battery, you would definitely take a battery from the Type C area, because the Type C was your middle battery in the middle. It had the most amps and the most battery density in both directions, right? So it was your best balance of everything, and that's why, you know, Samsung 25R sold so many. That's why, you know, Purple EFES sold so many after the whole confusion of, like, you know, Sony VTC batteries and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, VTC 5 2600 mAh at 30 amps, does that even make any sense? Like, once you start understanding batteries more and more and more, do those specs even make sense? Like, something is embellished, something is not right. Those stats make no frickin' sense, okay? Once you start to understand batteries a little bit better. Okay, so we will get this down right, and then I will show you the best top 5 2015 models that are out there, okay? Sadly, at the moment, the Type C battery, okay, LG HE4s, those things were released at the end of 2014. So although it's kind of sort of a 2015 battery, it wasn't actually released at 2015, you know what I mean? But still, it is the newest one for that category, so it is what it is. Okay, after this is done, we're going to be getting into more about battery internal resistance and impedance and stuff like that, and understanding this is very, very important, because that is basically the internal odometer of every single battery, so that you understand what is the health of the battery. Okay, it explains you know, your voltage drops, your sags and stuff like that. It explains, you know, health. It explains when you should be switching out your batteries, etc., etc. I'll be teaching you guys more and more about that stuff later on, okay? But first, we're going to answer the question, what are the best batteries, as opposed to what is the best one battery, right? So we'll figure out all of them for the right categories, and then we're going to talk about, like, how do you know if it's healthy, okay? And that basically should cover what batteries are all about. Now, moving on to some other stuff over here. As far as the series of parallel box this, okay. The thing about this thing is that, like, the prices, the flux, the up and down, and whatever, it's originally, you know, what they were selling it for, okay. This is obviously a price issue, okay. We're not going to do the series box mod or whatever, because SMY are a bunch of you know, they don't know how to do business. That's the only way I could describe it. They don't know what they're doing, okay. You don't try to sell a box mod to, you know, a vendor for $23, right, when there are other vendors selling it for $27. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I had I had a video where I showed this. China vendors over, you know, their fast tech and stuff like that, they're selling it anywhere between like $33 to $27 and whatnot, and while SMY is asking people for $23. You know, there's no margin in between, because after the cost of doing business in the United States, after customs, after duties, after shipping, you would absolutely make a loss in between, as opposed to, not only would you not make $1, you would probably lose $2 or $3 depending on your income tax bracket. Okay, so yeah, basically, as far as this thing, it can't be done. The problem mainly is exactly that, because they're a company that doesn't set their MSRPs, and that's very, very important when this comes to business. I'm just gonna do a quickie business lesson, okay? For all of you China vendors or whatever, anybody who might be listening out there, anybody who's starting up a company where you're trying to sell up an item of your own, right? Listen up on this one, okay? You have to take care of people when you do business, okay? And this is very, very important, because if you don't set like your MSRPs, right, what happens is that you don't set the margins and the price points for everybody else who's going to be involved in between. The world is not about like, I'm going to create my product and I want $30 for it, take it or leave it. It's not like that, okay? You have to create a market value for this thing that, okay, this thing is going to be $7 or $80 retail, right? And then my wholesalers are going to get it for X amount of money. My distributors are going to get it for X amount of money. Distributors sell over to wholesale. Wholesale sells over to retail, etc., etc. You guys understand how that works. And in between, there has to be reasonable margins for every single one. What you don't do, right, is that like, okay, I want $30 for this thing, right? And then I give it to somebody like Fast Tech or whatever, and then they just go ahead and sell it for $35. Suddenly, there's no margin in between, and all of your other like Canadian, UK, US, South American, none of those markets want your product anymore, because Fast Tech is selling it for only $5 on top. Everybody can buy from Fast Tech, and they're happy with making the $5 in between, because they sell they ship stuff through Singapost, and their cost of doing business in their country is completely different than the cost of doing business, say, in the UK or in the US. So what happens is this, right? You guys already here, including myself, we're all under the impression that this thing is going to be $35, right? No. Actually, it needs to have a market value of $55, $60 or whatever. Now, had we all had that impression in our hearts, right? So if Peg does a group sale or whatever, that this thing is going to be a $50 box mod, boom, everybody's happy, right? Then, yeah, everybody's going to be happy. Everybody's going to feel as if they got it for a discount. Everybody's going to feel blah, 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 whatever. And that's that. End of story. Happy ending, right? And SMY could go ahead and charge their $22 to $23 or something like that, and everybody's good. But the problem is that, like, now that other China vendors are, vendors who are selling directly retail to the people for $35, now in your hearts, the market value of this thing is $35 fucking dollars. So if Peg doesn't sell this to you for $35 or lower, it's a ripoff. It doesn't make sense anymore. And SMY can't go any lower than that in order to make the difference. So now what happens is that the item is dead. It's just, that's it, There's no reason for me to orchestrate or organize anything. All I'm going to do is point a sign and say, buy from Fast Tech. Buy from Fast Tech. Buy Fast Tech. That's it. There's nothing else I can do about it. And that's why this is not happening, okay? For those of you who are, I know, I don't like to let people down. I don't like to say no. I always like to try and make something happen. So in this case, right, I have noticed that this was just originally just a discussion. Like, hey, would you guys like one? If you guys like one, I'll see what I can do, right? But I didn't know what the prices behind all this stuff was, because this is just really a discussion. There was no ruse from the beginning to conduct the sale, okay? So, but shockingly, because of the comments, because of your comments, wow, there's a lot of people who want one. There's really a lot of people who want a beater series box mod to put in their pocket and vape heavy when they need it. So if that is the case, right, I will do another video, and we will maybe do something like a PVA 40, right? But it's a series box mod, right? And we'll try to keep it really cheap. right? But we'll make it really good too. We'll make it nice and shiny, but not a fingerprint magnet. We'll give it like a satin finish. We'll give it like a real kick-ass button as opposed to like the silly button that comes in this one. We'll probably add USB charging to it, as the series version of the Kung Fu box mod doesn't. We'll add a real spring-loaded 510 connection, flush mounted on top of this, as opposed to the SMY box mod that comes with like this stupid adjustable screw nonsense, right? We'll probably set it up so that like the ribbons and whatever, like everything makes sense, and the batteries are easy to put in and come out, and they're secure, as opposed to the SMY one where like we just struggle. I struggle putting batteries in this thing. Okay, so yeah, if you guys are interested in that, then we'll do something else, and then we'll do it right. As far as stuff like this goes, it always has to be an Indiegogo campaign, right? The Indiegogo campaign is not about money. It's not about raising money. It's not specifically about that, okay? What it is about making minimum order quantity. I don't know how many of you guys actually want one. There's the very big difference between asking a person if they would buy and to buy. A lot of people want to be liked, they want to say something nice, and they're like, yeah, sure, I'll buy. When you ask them, actually, here you go, here's one in your face, buy it, then suddenly everybody's short on cash, you know what I mean? So, in these cases, right, it's about, do we have the minimum order quantity available so that this thing can be created? That's what it's about. Because at the end, again, it's not about the money. If the minimum order quantity doesn't get hit, then you're not getting one, and they're not getting one, they're not getting one, I'm not getting, nobody's getting one. So, and then everybody gets their money, and then that's it. The campaign's over. There's no loss, there's no hurt, there's no anything. If we end up happening to get that many people who are interested in it, brick and mortars want to carry it, blah, 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 this and that, for any freaking reason, right, that we actually hit the minimum order quantity that is required to produce these, then, magically we realized a product. You know what I mean? Okay, so, and if you guys don't see it as that way, then no big deal. It's not like I absolutely have to organize these things. I do it because it's fun and it's exciting. When we did the PVA 40 thing, I mean, tell me not, like that thing was exciting. Like clicking refresh and just watching that thing go up, and after we hit the goal, I didn't even know like where we were going to go after that. You know what I mean? And then it is what it is today. So I'm still highly super appreciative of that. But all right, let's move on. Okay. You guys understand more about like getting things created, right? Here's something that I was really happy about, right? As well as the acceptance of this stuff. It wasn't just about like the whole idea of vaping in serious mode, but the idea of wizard math versus real world math. Okay, cannot stress this enough, people. Wizard math is done by a lot of people, you know what I mean? You might have done it once in your life or whatever, but there's a lot of things to calculate and to consider, okay? Sure, you could do wizard math to get like something on a roundabout answer to stuff, so that like in the ballpark where you are in regards to something, but always be consciously aware that like, yeah, this is just a little bit of wizard math that I did, that like, so I know where I'm standing. I'm not actually, basing my life on this or whatever. When you want real numbers and stuff, then you should definitely rely on like the different meters and whatever, some of the inline meters and the ohm meters that I've shown in this video. I have I have half a mind to improve on the meters and stuff, because I did get some really good questions over here, okay, from Dark Inertia. Shout out to Dark Inertia. What is the amp limit on that voltmeter? Excellent freaking question. Most people don't know that there is an amp limit on different kinds of voltmeters, that like, when you go ahead and slap your inline meter on your devices and whatever, if you are pushing way too many amps through that thing, you're going to fry the meter. So, yeah, I answered him that like the meter that I'm using is actually a crappy meter, probably handles anywhere between like 15 to 20 amps at max, but I've never exceeded 20 amps on it, and the only reason why I use the meter that I use is because it's calibrated properly. I cannot stress how important it is that your meters are calibrated properly, especially regarding your voltmeters. So multimeters, you don't really have to have a multimeter and use it like very often or whatever, but it's definitely good to get a cheap multimeter, because in general multimeters are just a little more accurate than your average meters that are out there and stuff, and you really want to use your multimeters as a second opinion to, you know, the general meters that you use to make sure your stuff is calibrated correctly. I will be doing a video on these like Smoke-Tech Omni 2 meters. These guys are beautiful. They're well constructed. The idea of it is nice, but they don't work. This is a big problem with that. At the end of the day, when I do a lot of different kind of videos and stuff like that, I had this one guy, his name was like Antonius or something. He was like real upset about the SMY 35 watt box mod that I did. The problem is that little mod, it doesn't work properly, okay? And mine's ended up shorting out anyways. So it was missing the 510 pin. It was missing a whole bunch of things. Sure, it could have been corrected or whatever, but still, I mean, there's so many things wrong with that thing. On top of SMY just lying about specs on their website, yeah, it doesn't deserve a full review. That thing is garbage, dude. And the serious battery rattle in there, you shouldn't have to pay and then have to fix it. You know what I mean? The moment that there's battery rattle or whatever, you should just send it back and buy something else. Okay, let's move on, right? My good friend Jason from Vapor Company decided to send me 2 new tanks. So 2 new tanks to be reviewed that's going to be on the way. The Melo tank and the Smoke VCT. These 2 tanks are the reply to Aspire's Atlantis tank, okay? And I think they're bomb diggy. I haven't had a chance to use them, but I did take them out to take a look at them, and they're very nice. They're very nice. As far as innovation, there is 1 or 2 little innovations in there that makes it a little bit better than an Atlantis tank. I don't know if it performs better at the moment, but I did get a lot of hate when I reviewed the Atlantis tank because I couldn't stand behind it. I couldn't stand behind it for a couple of reasons. The first reason was definitely because of the wick inside. This thing is not a cotton wick, and it's gotten a lot of complaints. Okay, not from me. I didn't write directly to Aspire. I care less. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I'm just not going to use it. The other thing is the same complaint that every single reviewer has said, which is it's only 2.5 mils for a cloud tank. Like, that's kind of small if like the point is to burn fuel, right? So yeah, that's another thing that was people are not too happy about. For me, it was because of that I couldn't understand who it's for. You know, it's a tank with a small capacity that you blow clouds. It just clashes when you say it like that on paper. Okay, but yeah. What I do want to report is that Aspire now makes cotton coils for the Atlantis. So what does that say? It says that Aspire caved, and maybe it's because they've gotten a lot of complaints. Complaints enough from enough people. So all of you out there who swear by the Atlantis, blah blah blah, and nothing has happened to you, blah blah blah, all that stuff, that's you. You know what I mean? You guys are lucky. You didn't feel anything. It's okay. You didn't get a scratch through. This thing personally messed me up for 2 days when I used it, and it wasn't a pleasant feeling. And they've changed up to cotton coils now. So I mean, you know, what does that say, right? I mean, is that kind of in the ballpark of "I told you so"? But always understand that, like, you know, because I run the show, safety is my priority. Okay, I couldn't get behind the Atlantis, no matter what you Aspire fanboys think, because it wasn't a safe wick that they were using inside. You know what I mean? And it's abundantly obvious. And now that they have switched over to cotton wicks in there, that means they admit that, like, yeah, it wasn't safe, and you know, they're bad. You know, okay. Move on with that. That's enough of that nonsense. Henamod. Okay, so I did this video, and basically what this video was about is two things, right? Either if you were kind of on the fence about mods and box mods and stuff like that, this would have instilled courage, to just go ahead and get her done. Because, look, back in the days, right, when we were all smokers and stuff, look, when I smoked, I just had a pack of Camels and a Bic lighter because, Bic is almost foolproof, right? So I just that's all I carried on me, and that was that. I didn't have every single different kind of flavor out there or something like that. Especially because that's exactly what smokers do. You find your brand, and this is my brand, and it is what it is. I don't smoke anything else unless I happen to bum a cigarette. So once you became a vapor and stuff, and once you started collecting more and more things, because you started noticing that there's so many things out there, variable voltage, wattage, temperature controls, as well as tank strippers and other things, and even tanks alone in general. I mean, I got a bunch of tanks sitting over here. They all do something different. Tighter draw, wider draw. This one blows clouds. This one's for flavor. Blah blah blah. And the same thing applied to all of your. This one has airflow adjustment. That one didn't. Blah blah blah. We kept going, So it was only a matter of time before, this thing went from keeping us off of cigarettes into a hobby, and you became a hobbyist, right? Especially if you were finally took that step. I started building my own atomizers and stuff, right? Really, clearly, the only next step after that is building your own mods, right? You already build your own atomizers, time to build your own mods. Right, so I did this video just to, for people who are on the fence about building mods and stuff like that, to show you that it's really not that difficult, okay? The difficulty is in the is in how tedious it is, like how much work you actually have to put into it. But if you do have the spare time, I mean, it's quite rewarding to put a mod together yourself, and to say haha, I put this thing together and it's firing good, and it's the exact same feeling as when you put your first coil together and it worked, especially for many of you old school users or whatever. Do you remember the first time you got your Genesis to work and you worked out the hot spots in your mesh in your mesh wick? That was, what I mean, a feeling of accomplishment, right? And this one is just as good, if not better, of a feeling. So we had a subscriber who has a zero mod and a vapor flask. Okay, so if you guys don't know what that is, right? Just real quick for people who don't know what that is, here's the zero mod, and here is a vapor flask. Okay, so both of them, he has a clone of each one. This is the vapor flask, right? Ba-bow. And then this is the zero mod over here, okay? And he wants me to upgrade them into genuine DNA 40 chips. He has the clone of both of them. And I thought to myself that hey, why not? You know what I mean? Why not do it on camera, just like this one, so that not only will PVA have a Canna stripped down, we'll also have a zero mod stripped down and a vapor flask stripped down. Just in case. I haven't seen it yet. I know somebody has it somewhere. Maybe some of our family members could do a little digging, but I think they do have zero mod or vapor flask, bare bones package kits that there's no chip or whatever. You go ahead and put in your chip, and then you could rig it up, or all right. But the point is that he's gonna send me those two. I'm going to rig it up for him. That doesn't mean everybody send me your mods and Peg will rig it up for you. Okay, I'm not exactly doing it for free. I just figured that since he asked me to help him out with it, right? Why not put it on camera? Okay, so yeah. There will be a future video for for basically something like this, but it will be the Vapor Flask and a zero mod version. Okay, so let me know in the comments if you guys are down for that, like you want to see how that one's done, because I'm sure maybe some of you guys own a zero mod or a Vapor Flask that is a a fake one, or something happened to your original chip or whatever, and you'd like to see how to upgrade the chip inside, right? Okay, next thing that I want to talk about, right? E-cig VPX Expo. Okay, so this thing's going to be huge, supposedly huge, but supposedly the big one of the East Coast, right? So a lot of people are going to be there. If you check out all sorts of reviewers and stuff like that, everybody has been talking about the VPX in their vlogs. I will be here not for fun, but for as an exhibitor. I will be representing a company here, so I'll be working this expo for both the April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So if you're in town and you're going to be hanging out at the VPX Expo, come see Peg, come say hi, we'll shake hands, take photos together, you know what I mean? I will be representing this company, which is the Aromomizer, the Steam Crave, Steam Crave company who has the Aromomizer out. Both Steam Crave, the logo and whatever, and the Aromomizer is all come up with by yours truly. I am the marketing, blah blah blah, everything, all the strategy and stuff behind this. This isn't my website. This is the current website that they just put up for now, but I have a better website in the mix. This is for SteamCrave.com. You could go check out the introduction video that I did for them over here. So you can hang out on this. What it is a flavor RDA, but I'm not going to get too much into it. You've probably seen this RDA reviewed by many different people, from Cloudy to Gear Obsession to even Big Lou has done it. So yeah, I probably will end up doing a review to help promote this thing as well. But I didn't want to be the first to do it. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to influence it that way in any way effort. I wanted to let it promote on its own because of its own innovations and stuff like that. But yeah, I will be at the VPX Expo doing many demos of the Aromomizer and showing people how it works and the flavor that it really produces inside. Okay, at the booth I will be doing a flavor challenge with different kinds of atomizers that are also flavor atomizers and stuff, and then we'll have like different mods and the same bills inside of both of them, and then you get to taste the juice, etc., etc. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun. So if you're in town, come by, say hi. Next. So last thing on the docket over here is Vape Shopping with Peg episode. For those of you who are big Vape Shopping with Peg episode fans and stuff, we will be doing one more episode. We're going to be bringing another episode back. Okay, I'm not going to reveal who the vendor is, but as always, I have gone out of my way and worked out a coupon with them, etc., a Pegasus coupon again, so that you could go get yourself the best deals and stuff and at the best prices as always. Okay, so yeah, just my way of looking out for my fans. And vape shopping is just always fun. If you've never seen any back episodes of it, check out episode 1 and episode 2. Those are generally my more ruthless episodes and stuff, until I get more and more subjective about things, as opposed to before where I was a little bit more fashion police about things. Another thing regarding that, right? After I did the SM135 watt one, and that was a pretty bloody video, because that video, a lot of things that they did in there were just inherently wrong and evil, so it had to be what it was. I'd like to know, do you guys want me to bring that back? Because that's another thing that we kind of need to talk about. Originally, right, where I was, look, I'll put it this way, right? There's still a lot of stuff that goes on in vape world that like makes me want to shoot my brains out. Okay, makes me want to gouge my eyes out. There's a lot of stuff out there, but I'm not as critical of them these days. Is because there's so much going on PVA with learning, theories, products, innovation, stuff like that. There's so much more that we have going on over here that I haven't been paying too much attention to them. You know what I mean? I haven't been like, too critical of that stuff or whatever. But that doesn't mean that it's not there and it doesn't exist. For instance, I'll give you a quick example, right? Every single video about in-rim batteries or any batteries or whatever and how good they are, and their control test for it is to vape on them. Okay, that makes me want to blow my brains out. That gives me an aneurysm. Like every single time somebody grabs a mod over here and says these are awesome batteries. Look at the clouds. Look at the clouds. Like you understand nothing about like the PTC and the the things, the limitations of the batteries and what is actually going on the inside. You have no meters, you have no graphs, you have no charts, you have no idea exactly what your battery sag is every single time you hit the button. Oh my god, it's mind-boggling. And like there was big debate at the time. See, a long time ago when I did those videos and I was completely ruthless about it, okay? We didn't have 15,000 subscribers at the time. We were at like 2,000 subscribers at the time, okay? And we were our own little world, just like being like, chatty Cathy's about stuff, right? Even though stuff that I say still back then till now can always be backed up scientifically. It is what it is, right? But I did come across a lot of people who had the opinion of like, Peg, why don't you just put out your own work and let people decide for themselves? And that's how we got to 15,000 subscribers today, by me going ahead and like just stop being critical of other people's things and focusing on my own work. So my own work would be, the battery revolution stuff, the PVA 40 stuff, you know what I mean? Teaching people like, little quickie lessons here and there. Finally putting together, the DNA, but like I have been doing a lot of my own work, But I'd really like to hear in the comments below, right? For those of you who have seen my earlier work where, I just completely destroy something because they're wrong, because they're completely in the wrong, Do you want to see that come back? Do you want me to bring that back, or would you like to see it more like mixed up a little? Like let's just mix things up a little. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, or whatever. It's like, what do you guys really are digging on? Like for instance, real quick, okay. I hate to bash these guys, okay, because they look like really cool guys, all right, but. I saw this, I thought about commenting, and I chose not to. Okay, I just walked away from it. Okay, but the problem is that the two guys, they're trying to, they obviously carry MRIM batteries in their store or whatever, and they think they're really good batteries, and they want to sell them, and then it is what it is. You know what I mean? I can't get away from that. But what happens in this video is that like they just end up putting them in mods and using them, right? Because that seems to make sense. Look, you want to prove that they're good batteries? Let's see them in action. But the problem is that like this doesn't mean anything. That's the problem. It doesn't matter how big of a cloud you're. This is all about like your build and your mod and what kind of gauge of wires you are using and how you have it rigged up. A lot of things affect this stuff, not just what the batteries are. And if you are using this in past pulse like specs or whatever, it's very possible that the PTC protection plate on it is limiting and hindering, like, you know what I mean? I'm almost willing to bet that, like, in this situation over here, had I switched out, like, secretly switched out the battery inside of his mod with just like a purple E-Fest or whatever, he would more or less like have the same result and you know, have the same smile on his face. So that's Peg now, you know what I mean? Like I'm a lot cooler about it. But back then I would have just been like, and you know, destroyed and just ripped them a new one for that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, they still look like two cool, happy guys. You know what I mean? Why should I shit on them, right? That's not nice. So I don't know. That doesn't exactly mean that like I've gone soft on things. I'm still hardcore, always looking for the truth and stuff. It's just that like, you know, I'm not so much you know, looking to bully anyone else anymore. You know what I mean? But still, at the end of the day, I promise you guys, there's still a lot of stuff out there that makes me want to gouge my eyes out. Okay, that part is still true. So yeah. One more thing that I wanted to put on the docket today, okay? Casting call, okay? Just like Chris Orsini was originally on this show, just like Matt from the Amp Hour and stuff like that. If you feel as if like you have something that you want to share, if you feel as if like you even deserve a series of your own or something like that, and you would like to be on PVA, right? Feel free to, you know, contact me privately, okay? Through my email or through sending me a PM over here, okay? We could talk, we could get in contact on Skype, and then maybe you could do some videos or whatever, and then send it in for basically, you know, your audition or whatever, and then, you know, we will review over here of and really, you know, if you really deserve a voice, you definitely will get on the show. So yeah, guys. if anyone out there, right, like, you know, you have something that you want to share, it doesn't matter. It could be fun, it could be educational, it could be something else, right? But as long as that like you feel as if like you have something else that you want to bring to the table, and you want somewhere, you know, a platform that you could start off on, yeah, I could definitely help you out with that. And eventually, you know, maybe we'll work out a spin-off show of your own. So that's what I believe as far as channels goes. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, this is a channel, right? So when you tune into a channel, there should be all sorts of different kinds of programming on it. That's why sometimes I do a review, sometimes I do the vape shopping, sometimes, you know, I have another professor step in and do something else. Sometimes we do the straight volt. You know, different kinds of shows should be on a channel that you tune into. At least that's how I see it. So comments, people, on different kinds of things and what you thought of this month's vlog. So as always, question everything, do your homework, and take care, guys. Vape clever. Ugh.